Hey guys, it's Crystal with the Evening Sun Garden YouTube channel. Welcome back to week 2 of garden tours for this growing season 2021. I am growing a garden here in, I think it's considered eastern, like middle to southern Tennessee. I am growing in garden zone 7A, and yeah. Today I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a tour on what's going on in the garden, and there is a lot of difference from last week. I have planted almost the entire thing now. The beds are up, and so I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Also, I picked something up at a yard sale that is the perfect addition to my garden, so I'm going to show you guys what's going on. So let's go. So right here in the front of the house, like I started last week, we've got, I actually don't know what this is. The previous owners planted this, but I do like it. It's like kind of like a Christmas tree, but a bush. So the lighter green is the new growth from this year. My brother trimmed this back last year, so kudos to him for knowing what he's doing in the landscaping department. But it looks really healthy. Then I've got these flowers that are coming back from last year. I bought them because they're supposed to attract hummingbirds, but I do not remember what they're called. But I've got 3 of them. One there, and one all the way at the end. And then right here I've got this like ground cover that I bought last year. Again, don't remember what it's called, but I've got 2 of them, one over here, and then you can see kind of the pine parts coming up over there as well. And then my big girl, the lily, she has doubled in size from last year, and her sister is the one that's in the pot. It's not as big nearly as she is, but I'm excited to see this thing bloom this year because honestly, I think it's going to be gorgeous, but she's just definitely outgrown my expectations for her. I got these 2 ferns. I don't know anything about ferns, but I see them on all my neighbors' houses, and they just look lovely, so I'm going to try and grow those this year too. And then we have these grow bags that are here. I think these are going to move over to the real garden probably this week or next week, but we've got an empty one over there. It was supposed to be lettuce, but we've gone ahead and given up on that. And then carrots in that one. Maybe there might be like 1 or 2 carrots in there, but honestly, who knows? I think they're all dead. And then those are supposed to be my radishes. I don't know. I might get 1 or 2 out of there, but those are coming out next week. And then my strawberries, which I believe are done fruiting for this season. I already shot this video and the audio was garbage, so I am shooting it again, but I said on the first time around that I think you're not supposed to let your strawberries fruit the first season, but what do I know? So I did let them fruit, and the strawberries that we got were pretty good, but we only got 3 or 4, and hopefully that doesn't hinder the plant too much for next year, but that's what we're doing. Alright, so let's walk over to the big garden now. Guys, Happy Mother's Day, by the way. It is Sunday. And I spent the entirety of yesterday planting this garden. I do like to try and put out my garden tours on Saturday, but I spent all day planting, and so I didn't end up getting to film. But you guys are going to see what all that work really paid off. So let's turn this camera around now that we're over here. I somehow missed the filming of this, but I wanted to let you guys know that I did plant a Space Master cucumber in that pot. That's right there in the front of the garden bed next to the 2 blueberry bushes, and then we have those green beans and the onions as well in the front that you saw last week. Over here, this is another cucumber. This is a Boston Pickling cucumber, which I'm not growing a slicer cucumber this year, so it's just the Pickling and the Space Master. Then these 2 over here are Kajari Melons. Hopefully they do pretty good. That one's looking a little rough, so hopefully she bounces back, because I'm really excited to try Kajari melon. I've never had it, but if you follow Roots and Refuge, obviously they talk about it, and so I'm excited to try and grow those, because obviously you can't get them at the store. This is like a 5-tier planter. You buy each tier individually at the dollar store, believe it or not. And so the bottom 3 tiers are planted with onions, which will be 9 onions in this planter and 9 onions in the bed. And then I've got French marigolds up at the top for some color, and hopefully for some pollinators to come over here and enjoy themselves. Then we've got this lily. Obviously she's the sadder of the 2 sisters, but she's still doing pretty good in that pot. So whenever I have a place for her in the actual ground, she will go into the ground. But for now, she's living her life in that pot. And then here, these are all brand new. I've got 2 different colors of Gerber Daisies and then some marigolds. So I don't know, Gerber Daisies are new to the garden this year. We have had a storm, obviously. This is a mess. And my flag is completely gone. I don't know where it went. It's nowhere to be found. So crazy. So we are supposed to get a pretty bad wind storm and I think some thunder and lightning as well. So it may have been a bad idea to plant this garden yesterday. I probably should have waited until tomorrow. But we've had storms nonstop for the past like month and a half. And I feel like if I don't get this stuff into the garden soon, it's never going to get into the garden. And these plants, some of them are just outgrowing their containers. So I took a chance and hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt. So before we get into the loveliness that is this area right here, I did want to talk to you guys quickly about this new addition to my garden, this bench. I picked it up at a yard sale. So for those of you who don't know, I resell full time. That's what I do for a living. So yard sales are a thing that I do pretty regularly. And if you're coming over from my reselling channel, thank you so much. I know you came to see the bench. And if you want to check out that reselling channel, I'll link it in the bio. But anyway, this it's like an older wood. Like it probably needs to be refinished, but I kind of love the older look. And then it's got these beautiful sunflowers on it. And it's just a great addition to my garden. It's a perfect place for me to sit and drink my coffee and just stare at the loveliness. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about that. Okay, let's start with the grow bags. This area right here where the blue tarp is just going to be all grow bags. And I don't know if I'm going to love it right here in front of this bed. I might move it, but for now, this is kind of where it's living. And I also am going to use the tarp kind of to kill this grass along the area because I would like to mulch this at some point and not have to deal with the weeds growing up against my beds. So these 2 right here are potatoes. They're both the same variety. I've never grown potatoes before, but the foliage has just like went insane. And it grows so fast, I wasn't expecting it. So I don't know, we'll see. But I mean, it looks good right now. Okay, this is kind of a disaster. Let's talk about this disaster. Okay, this is a sun sugar cherry tomato. And as you can see, I snapped the stem accidentally. And so I just planted the top of the stem and the bottom of the stem, hoping that something will root and this plant will bounce back. But I don't think that that's going to happen. But I'm hopeful. So we may not even end up growing that variety, but here's hoping. Okay, then we're moving over to here. This is a sweet banana pepper. Lovely. I am going to try and can those this year. So banana peppers are actually the first thing that I ever canned. I don't know anything about canning. I've only ever canned that 1 jar of banana peppers, but they kept really well, so I must have done something right. But they were not super crunchy, and like that's my concern about canning pickles too, is that they're not going to be crunchy. Because I do refrigerator pickles, and I mean we eat so many pickles that it's not a huge deal to make refrigerated pickles because we eat them so fast. But I do want to start preserving, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So I read somewhere that there's like a salt or something that you can add to it to keep the crunchiness. So I'm going to try that this year. Also, I'm going to try and get smaller jars for them so that I can can like smaller batches or whatever, and hopefully those 2 things will result in better banana peppers this year. But everything is a learning over here, so fingers crossed for that. We've got this red bell pepper. I usually grow green, but I actually really enjoy eating red, so I decided to plant the red ones. And if you don't know, red bell peppers start out green and you just have to wait for them to turn red for their full ripeness before you eat them. And then over here, I actually think, hold on if I can get closer, I think I bought this obviously from Bonnie. I think that it has 2 stems. I think this is actually 2 plants, so don't know, but it's a cool jalapeno. And normally I do jalapenos, but this year I decided to do cool. So a quick little story about the cool jalapenos. My family loves jalapenos. I do peppers, like stuffed jalapeno peppers. And also I have this like jalapeno casserole that I got off of Pinterest that we absolutely love. What I don't love is pulling the seeds out and having to wear gloves, because I didn't wear gloves the first season and my hands were on fire, and like anything you touch, you rub your eyes or whatever, burning, and you can't get it off with just like soap and water, which I don't enjoy. So I'm hoping that the cool pinos don't do that and it'll give me the same kind of flavor, probably without the heat, but that's okay. So that's the hope for the cool pinos. I've never grown them before, so I could be ambitious with that. I'm not really sure, but that's the hope for the cool pinos. So anyway, the sky definitely looks like it's gonna storm. My goodness, it's starting to get dark. Hopefully I can finish up this garden tour before it starts storming. So like I said, I already shot this once and it didn't go well. So I am now trying to beat this storm. So we're gonna go a little bit faster than I did the first time. But this first bed right here, if you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 down there. So this first bed is going to be mostly sunflowers. I've got 4 different varieties to go ahead and plant in here. They aren't planted yet, but they will be soon. And then I've just stuck in a marigold right there. And then this, I didn't even remember that I bought. I actually think I bought it on accident because I don't know this variety at all, but it's like an Atkinson tomato. I think it's a slicer. So we're going to try that because I bought it, so I planted it. Then moving over to this bed, we've got a Cherokee purple slicer. Also have never grown that, but I'm excited about purple tomatoes. Then I've got those 2 right there are both Roma tomatoes for sauce, and I did actually grow those from seeds that I started indoors, as well as this right here is a zucchini, and this right here is a spaghetti squash. I am really hopeful for my zucchini this year because I had a terrible year with zucchini last year. Only ended up getting 1 single zucchini out of, I think I planted 6 different plants. So here's hoping that that does better this year. And then I've got an open spot right here for what is going to be a butternut squash. I planted the butternut squash with the other 2 squashes and it didn't grow, it didn't germinate, so I replanted and hopefully that will go out soon. And then I've got this Sugar Sweet 100 hybrid, I believe it's a hybrid, maybe it's an heirloom, I don't remember, a cherry tomato right there. I've got a couple more marigolds that need to go into the ground. I just don't know where I'm going to put them yet, so they're kind of just sitting right there. This bed is completely empty. It's going to be wildflowers. I have a bunch of different wildflower mixes. I'm just going to basically scatter in there and see what happens in there. But the theory is that flowers here, zucchini and squash plants here, and more flowers over there is going to help with the pollination of the squash. So if you've noticed, the red tail lettuce is still in the ground. I did pull one of them. There was 2 plants there, and it just ended up like kind of going limp too quickly for me to use it, so I fed it to my dogs who absolutely love lettuce, so it didn't go to waste. But that is gonna stay. Sorry, it's getting really windy. That's gonna stay until it bolts or until I have something to do with it, because I don't want to waste it. Also, right here I used to have like 6 or 7 kale plants, and then I YouTubed where the seeds actually come from on a kale plant because I really wanted to keep the seeds, but some of those plants had to come out. So, and they end up, I found out that they come from these little pods right here. So each one of those pods has a lot of seeds. And so with the amount of pods that we have in just this one plant, I didn't think I needed anything else. So I kept just one, and once those dry out, I'll pull the seeds out of there, and then this whole thing will finally be empty. And then the final bed right here is, these are all sweet potatoes. So I've got 6 plants. I bought a pack of 6 for that, and that's all sweet potatoes. And then that's where I'm putting my like discarded kale plants right now. So yeah, I have a couple things to talk to you guys about before I let you go. I am nervous about the sweet potato vines being over there because those beds are kind of small, and I'm not sure that there's much room for the tubers, but I don't know enough about sweet potatoes to know if it's going to hinder them or not. So I'm just going to experiment like most of the stuff in this garden. Everything is a learning. So maybe we'll get sweet potatoes, maybe we'll get tiny ones, maybe we won't get any at all. I don't know. But I think it's worth the experiment because I do love to eat sweet potatoes. So I'm determined to learn how they're going to grow. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was my landscaper. So I have about an acre here, and the majority of it is grass, aside from the garden beds that I'm slowly putting in, but the majority of it is grass, and you have to know what you're good at. And I am not good at mowing the lawn. It takes way too long. I don't have a ride on. So anyway, I outsource that, and I pay somebody to come and do it. So he's a very nice guy. And he actually found a rabbit's nest, like small bunnies, babies. And he said that they're over there underneath the HVAC system. I have not seen them yet, but I believe him. So I am fingers crossed that this garden makes it, because between bunnies and the storms that keep coming, I don't know. I feel like I'm a little nervous that some of this stuff is probably not going to make it. And that's okay, because some of the stuff will make it, and whatever we're meant to have this year, we're going to have, and everything else is going to be a learning. And so last year I grew eggplant for the first time, and I learned that you really need to stake that up, because the eggplants get so heavy that the plant starts to fall over. And you would think I would know that, but I didn't, because I had never grown eggplant before. So I took that obviously into this year, and I've already started thinking about what I'm going to use to trellis that stuff up. So really, I just think that you've got to plant some stuff and figure it out as you go along. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that you can learn online, YouTube and all of that, but sometimes you just got to get your hands dirty and figure it out. And one year, just that's your classroom. And then the next year you might know a little bit more and you'll do a little bit better. And that's really all that we can hope for. So, with all that being said, that was the garden tour for this year. I keep saying this year, for this week. And I'm going to try and upload videos once a week on Saturdays. I know that this one is Sunday, but like I said, I spent the entire day yesterday just planting this so that I had something to show you guys. And so hopefully going forward, they will come out on Saturdays. So I hope that that's something that you guys can look forward to. And I'm really going to enjoy just watching this grow. Garden season is my favorite time of year. And now that I have a bench, just love it. So yeah, I can start to hear the thunder, so it is probably gonna pour. Please send your positive vibes so that my plants don't all break in this storm, because I am worried about that. So anyway, send me your positive vibes, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out. Bye. She's rolling in. And also I can start to feel the raindrops.